Okay, so let's really set the scene here. We've got the Women's T20 World Cup, right? And it's come down to this. The final group stage match. West Indies women facing off against England women. And let me tell you, the tension is palpable because this isn't just about pride or who gets bragging rights. This is winner takes all for a spot in the semifinals, high stakes.
You're absolutely right to emphasize the intensity of this match. I mean, for both teams, the stakes couldn't have been higher. You've got England, they're coming in undefeated, aiming for their seventh consecutive semifinal appearance. Talk about a dynasty in the making,
A
right?
dynasty, they've practically owned this stage.
Exactly. And on the other side, you have the West Indies. Now, they had a little bit of a shaky start, losing their first
Right,
match,
they had to play catch up the whole tournament.
which meant they desperately needed this win to even have a shot at their first semifinal appearance since 2018. So you can imagine the pressure.
Oh, I can only imagine. Now, I think it's fair to say that going into this match, everyone kind of saw England as the favorite to win, right? I mean, their track record speaks for itself.
Absolutely. But that's the beauty of sports, isn't it? Sometimes the underdog has a few surprises up their sleeve.
And this match was even more interesting because it was a huge milestone for West Indies captain Hayley Matthews. This was her 100th T20 international match.
Can you imagine reaching such a huge career milestone in a do-or-die game?
The pressure must have been immense. Talk about a storybook moment, though, right?
Absolutely. And it gets even better because on the other side, you had England's captain Heather Knight also playing in her 100th T20 international.
No way. I did not realize that. Talk about a clash of the titans. Both captains hitting this incredible career mark in a match that would determine their team's fate in the tournament.
It's almost poetic, isn't it? And to add to the drama, England won the toss and chose to bat first. A pretty standard strategy considering their winning streak.
Seemed like a safe bet, right?
Exactly. And they had a secret weapon in their lineup.
You're talking about Nat Cyberbrunt.
The one and only. She almost single-handedly held their innings together with a gutsy 57 runs off 50 balls.
She's such a powerhouse. But England didn't have it easy, did they? I mean, it wasn't exactly smooth sailing for them.
Not at all. In fact, it was a pretty rough start for them.
Yeah, especially when they lost Danielle Wyatt-Hodge early on.
Right. And she was their top scorer in the tournament going into this match.
Exactly. And she only managed to scrape together 16 runs before being dismissed. A real blow for England, losing such a key player so early on.
It definitely shifted the momentum, that's for sure.
It did, and then just when you thought things couldn't get any worse for England, disaster struck.
Oh, you're talking about Heather Knight's injury.
Yeah, Captain Heather Knight. She was looking like she was finally finding her groove. 21 runs, not bad. But then, suddenly, she had to leave the field.
That calf injury was brutal.
Brutal. Talk about a turning point in the match.
Absolutely. England's hopes really seemed to hinge on Knight's performance, and that injury just threw a wrench into everything. They ended up finishing their innings at 141 runs, which, let's be honest, for most teams, that's a pretty decent target. But knowing how powerful England's batting lineup usually is, it felt, well, a bit underwhelming, don't you think?
Especially considering how they dominated the tournament up to that point.
Exactly. But we have to give credit where credit's due. Offie Fletcher, the West Indies bowler, she really put the pressure on England.
Oh, absolutely. Her bowling was instrumental in this match.
Wow.
She managed to snag 3 wickets while only giving away 21 runs. That's what we call an economical spell in cricket.
And it's worth explaining why that's such a big deal. You see, in T20 cricket, every single run matters. Every single ball counts. And Fletcher, with her accuracy and her ability to mix things up, she kept those English batters guessing.
They couldn't get comfortable at all.
Exactly. They couldn't figure her out, which meant they couldn't score freely. And that frustration, that pressure, it all led to those crucial wickets falling.
It was brilliant to watch. So the West Indies are chasing 142 runs to win. Not an easy feat, especially against a team like England. But remember, they had their own challenges to overcome. They had to replace their star batter, Stephanie Taylor, because of that knee injury she got.
Right.
So in steps, Kiana Joseph. She's kind of thrown into this high-pressure situation.
Talk about a trial by fire.
Seriously. Partnering up with Captain Hayley Matthews, who, by the way, this is her 100th T20 international appearance.
I mean, can you imagine the pressure on both of them? England's bowling attack was on fire this whole tournament.
Totally. Everyone and their mother thought England was just going to walk all over this new opening pair.
But Matthews and Joseph, well, they had something else in mind.
It was like watching a different game. From the very first ball, they were hitting boundaries left and right.
And running between those wickets like their lives depended on it.
They were on fire. It wasn't just about chasing down the target anymore. It was like they were making a statement.
And you know what I found so interesting? England, a team known for their composure, completely unraveled under that pressure.
Could you blame them? Matthews and Joseph were picking apart England's bowling attack, an attack that had been touted as one of the best in the tournament.
Record with a 102-run opening partnership.
102 runs before England could even break through. That's insane. And for Kiana Joseph, making her debut in such a crucial match, what a way to announce your arrival.
Unbelievable. She ended up scoring her first ever T20 52 runs in total.
Talk about a performance for the ages. I mean, player of the match, no question.
Absolutely. But let's not forget about Captain Hayley Matthews, eh? Her 100th T20 International, her team needing a win. Talk about pressure.
And she delivers a captain's knock. 50 runs. The leadership, the resilience.
Incredible.
But it wasn't just the West Indies batting that won them the game. England's fielding, usually top-notch, seemed to crumble under the pressure. Dropped catches, missed run-outs.
It was very uncharacteristic. The sources we're looking at all point to those missed chances as the turning point.
Yeah.
And the West Indies, they sensed that shift in energy and they just kept their foot on the gas pedal.
And they reached that target with 12 balls to spare.
12 balls. Can you believe that?
A dominant victory, for sure. Honestly, it felt like those last 12 balls weren't just about winning the game anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like they were making a statement. You could practically feel the shockwaves around the cricketing world. 10 years. A decade. That's how long it had been since the West Indies had beaten England in a T20 match.
Yeah, it was a drought breaker for sure. And the fact that they did it on this stage at the World Cup just adds to the drama, you know?
Totally. It was like watching history in the making. And you could just see what it meant to those players.
Absolutely.
The post-match interviews were pretty emotional.
Yeah, how could they not be?
The West Indies team were ecstatic, pure joy and elation. This was their first ever win against England in a T20 World Cup.
Amazing. And on the flip side, you had England, a team that's used to winning, looking absolutely stunned.
They did not see that coming.
I especially felt for Heather Knight. Imagine that for a second. Your 100th match cut short by injury, and you have to watch your team fall apart from the sidelines.
That's got to be tough.
Tough doesn't even cover it.
But hey, that's what we love about sports, right? The unpredictable nature of it all.
Absolutely.
But for the West Indies, this win was about more than just bragging rights. It secured them a spot in the semifinals against New Zealand.
Now that is going to be a match. The West Indies riding high on their momentum, and New Zealand known for their consistency and strategy.
It's anyone's game at this point.
Exactly. But we have to talk about England for a second. This loss really exposed some weaknesses in their game, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure. Their middle-order batting, which is usually a strength for them, really crumbled under pressure. And those fielding errors were costly.
Yeah. Makes you wonder if maybe they underestimated Kiana Joseph a little bit. Stepping in for a legend like Stephanie Taylor is no easy feat. Right. And that loss, it had to have shaken their confidence a little.
They'll need to regroup, figure out what went wrong, and come back strong.
Absolutely.
It'll be really interesting to see how they bounce back from this.
For both teams, really, this match was a turning point. For the West Indies, a win that defied expectations, a testament to their talent and their grit. And for England, a wake-up call, a reminder that even the best can stumble.
And sometimes it's those stumbles that make us even stronger. So what do you think? Will this loss be the thing that pushes England to reevaluate their game plan? Or will it stick with them and cast a shadow over everything they do? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, this World Cup just got a whole lot more interesting. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and be sure to catch our next episode where we'll break down another exciting match.
See them.